Australopithecus, the first clear milestone on the road of human evolution. Picture a creature just over 1 meter tall, with long arms for climbing trees, but legs already shaped for upright walking. They lived in Africa between 4 and 2 million years ago, in open savannas and scattered woodlands. The Great Leap was bipedalism. Walking on 2 legs wasn't just an anatomical curiosity, it was a survival advantage. It freed the hands to carry food and use stones as rudimentary tools, and it allowed them to see farther over the tall grass. Few people realize it wasn't just one type. There were several species of Australopithecus, like the famous Australopithecus afarensis, to which the fossil Lucy belongs. Her skeleton revealed to the world the bridge between ape and human. They didn't hunt large animals or build advanced tools, but they were something new. Beings in transition, walking firmly at the start of a journey that would reshape the planet. Homo habilis, the handy man. He appeared about 2.4 million years ago and marked a crucial turning point. For the first time, our genus systematically used stone tools. Not sophisticated weapons, but sharp flakes capable of cutting meat, breaking bones, and accessing marrow. A precious energy source. Physically, he still resembled the Australopithecines, short, long-armed, with a projecting face, but the brain was already bigger, reaching 600 cubic centimeters. This expansion allowed for more creative, flexible behavior in the face of Africa's savanna challenges. Interestingly, Homo habilis didn't hunt big prey. He was an opportunist, scavenging carcasses left behind by predators and taking what other animals couldn't reach. It was ingenuity, not strength, that ensured his survival. Here lies the true beginning of the relationship between mind and matter. The idea turned into stone. The stone turned into advantage. A single flake that split history in two. Homo erectus, the true wanderer of prehistory. Emerging nearly 2 million years ago, he lived longer than any other human species, over 1.5 million years. His posture was upright, his body robust and resilient, his height close to ours. But the real leap was cultural. Homo erectus mastered fire. That meant warmth on cold nights, protection from predators, and above all, cooked food, easier to digest and fueling bigger brains. A simple campfire became the center of social life. His tools, known as Acheulean Handaxes, were teardrop-shaped stones, not only useful but standardized, which suggests knowledge passed down across generations. He was also the first human to leave Africa, reaching Asia and Europe. Imagine it, a creature armed with nothing but fire and stone, sketching the first invisible maps of Earth. Homo heidelbergensis, the organized hunter of prehistory. He lived between 700,000 and 300,000 years ago and represents a direct link between Homo erectus, Neanderthals, and us, Homo sapiens. Physically, he looked much like a modern human, sometimes nearly 1.8 meters tall, with a robust body and a brain up to 1,200 cubic centimeters, almost on our level. A true athlete, adapted to survive from icy Europe to African savannas. What really set him apart was group hunting. Evidence shows wooden spears hardened with fire, used to attack large animals like horses and even elephants. That required cooperation, strategy, and some form of communication. He was also among the first to build simple shelters and organize campsites. Life was no longer just solitary instinct, but increasingly a collective project. Homo neanderthalensis, the Neanderthals. They lived between 400,000 and 40,000 years ago and became our most famous relatives. Imagine a strong body, broad shoulders, dense muscles, and thick bones. Survival machines built for Europe's cold. But they weren't just brutes. Neanderthals had brains on average even larger than ours. They created complex tools, mastered fire, hunted massive animals like bison and mammoths, and even buried their dead, suggesting ritual or respect for death. Few people know they also used pigments and perhaps ornaments, cultural traces showing they weren't just hunters, but symbol makers. Yet they disappeared about 40,000 years ago, likely due to competition with Homo sapiens and climate shifts. But they didn't vanish completely. Today, every one of us carries 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA, the legacy of a people who never stopped being part of us. Archaic Homo sapiens, the direct bridge to modern humans. They emerged about 300,000 years ago in Africa, already showing traits close to ours. rounder skulls, flatter faces, and brains exceeding 1,300 cubic centimeters. These early sapiens coexisted with Neanderthals and other humans, but had something different: adaptability. While others depended on narrow niches, sapiens adjusted to various climates, hunted diverse prey, and explored new territories. Archaeologists found evidence of more sophisticated tools, fine blades and spear points. In some sites, symbols scratched into bones and stones, faint signs of abstract thought. Not yet the finished version of us, but already carrying the blueprint for the most decisive cognitive leap in history. The cognitive revolution, about 70,000 years ago, was the turning point that truly separated Homo sapiens from all other humans. It wasn't a change of body, but of mind. Suddenly, sapiens began creating stories, myths, symbols. Language stopped being just practical, hunt, warn, coordinate, and became a tool to share complex ideas, beliefs, imagined futures. It was here that the ability to picture what doesn't exist was born. This gave a unique advantage: large-scale cooperation. While other humans lived in small bands, sapiens could unite hundreds or thousands around a shared narrative, a totem, a spirit, a myth. This revolution didn't just define our dominance, it laid the foundation of civilization itself. Before building cities or planting wheat, humans learned to dream together. The first human migrations were the ultimate bold move, leaving Africa, the cradle of the species, and conquering the world. Around 60,000 years ago, small groups of Homo sapiens began crossing deserts, mountains, and improvised seas, driven by survival and curiosity. They reached the Middle East, spread across Asia, entered Europe, and thousands of years later crossed frozen oceans to settle the Americas. Each step was a bet against the unknown, each land a test of adaptation. Along the way, sapiens encountered other humans, Neanderthals, Denisovans, and not only competed, but interbred. Today, fragments of those encounters live in our DNA. These journeys weren't quick. They were slow waves over millennia, turning nomadic hunters into global pioneers. It was through this movement that Homo sapiens became not just African, but truly universal. Agriculture, about 10,000 years ago, was humanity's second great revolution. Until then, we lived as nomadic hunter-gatherers. But by domesticating plants and animals, we began to settle down. Wheat, barley, rice, maize. Seeds that shaped empires. Food was no longer just found. It was produced, stored, multiplied. Surpluses fueled population growth and the birth of the first permanent villages. But there was a cost. Diets grew less diverse, new diseases spread from livestock, and farming was hard labor. Some scholars even call agriculture the biggest trap in history. Yet, it laid the foundation for complex society, property, division of labor, trade, and social hierarchies. From the simple act of planting a seed, the organized world we know today sprouted. Ancient civilizations were the flowering of everything agriculture had prepared. About 5,000 years ago, the first city-states rose in Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus Valley, and China. Humanity stopped being mere survivors and became builders of complex worlds. Writing was one of the greatest inventions of this age. At first to record taxes and supplies, later to tell stories and preserve myths. Memory was no longer tied to voices, but etched in enduring symbols. Laws, armies, social classes, and great stone monuments all emerged. Pyramids, temples, walls, many still defying time. But along with grandeur came deep inequalities. The few ruled, the many obeyed. These civilizations were humanity's first experiments in collective power. Their structures weren't just engineering feats. They were symbols of our ability to dream big and impose order on chaos. The Industrial Revolution, beginning in the 18th century, was the fastest acceleration in human history. Until then, energy came from muscles, wind, or water. But with steam engines, coal, and later electricity, humans multiplied their power beyond imagination. Factories rose, cities sprawled, railroads cut across continents. Handcraft gave way to mass production, and life began ticking to the rhythm of machines. In just a few generations, the world's landscape was transformed. This progress brought wealth and innovation, but also inequality, exploitation, and pollution. Children worked in mines, rivers turned toxic, and city skies darkened with smoke. Still, the Industrial Revolution solidified humanity as a species that not only adapts, but reshapes the planet in its image. It was the dawn of cultural evolution accelerated by technology. The modern human is the product of millions of years of biological adaptation combined with centuries of cultural revolutions. Today, we no longer just adapt to nature, we mold the planet on a global scale. We've built computers, airplanes, vaccines, the internet. Our minds have leapt beyond Earth and into space. Genetically, we are almost identical to our ancestors of 200,000 years ago, but culturally, we are a different species. Biology gave us brains. History gave us civilizations. Technology now gives us the power to rewrite life itself. Artificial intelligence, genetic editing, space exploration. Each frontier shows we no longer evolve only through DNA, but also through invention. The modern human is a paradox. Fragile yet powerful. Mortal yet capable of creating ideas that outlive us. And perhaps we are not at the end of evolution, but at the beginning of a new kind, one shaped by our own hands. If this journey through human evolution made sense to you, like and comment. Because knowledge also evolves when it's shared. See in the next video, Illuminati. The name itself sounds like a forbidden whisper in an old library. A secret group said to have shaped modern history from the shadows. In reality, they began in 1776 in Bavaria, as a society of intellectuals who wanted to push back against superstition and absolute church power.